This is going to be your weekly tarot and oracle forecast. If it's meant for you, it's meant for you. We're going to take a look at the energies for the upcoming week, break it down day by day, and let you know how to navigate. You know, I start off by asking, how are you? How are you feeling? What's new in your world? You know, that's an expression I always say to my closest friends. Tell me something new. Please tell me something new in your life. The energy is, of course, very intense because of this eclipse energy, right? The Ring of Fire. And I've been doing so many videos about the Ring of Fire and the solar eclipse in general and the ups and downs that we've been encountering. You know, this is a time of tension, upheaval, intensity. Relationships are being defined in all different ways, you know, breakups, new beginnings, because Libra is all about relationships, right? So Libra season is about finding that balance. And this is not just about relationships, but it's, again, equal giving and receiving and balance, especially in our own masculine and feminine energies. I talk about that quite frequently. So you might be finding that being on edge is happening in all aspects. Meaning, if we try to control everything right now, we're going to have a lot more resistance. So I just encourage you all to face the following week in a way that is open, neutral. Let things fall where they may. Don't try to control anything right now because it will really just bring you more resistance and you'll feel even more frustrated. We want to embrace the change as hard as that is, okay? So I think we're going to start a little bit differently than I normally do. I'm going to take some overall messages just to kind of see what we need to know. And let's start off with embrace uncertainty. Isn't that what I said? You know, we're going to be in a position where new things are going to come in. We're not going to know what they are. And we have to be okay with that, okay? And with that, we have avoid drama. Well, hello, Ring of Fire, eclipse energy. That's all about drama and intensity. I'll be really honest with you and tell you that I didn't want to leave my house today, okay? I'm filming this on the eclipse. I don't want to leave my house. It's chaotic energy. Now listen, I'm not saying live in fear. I'm just saying this is a day where people are up in arms, intense. The thought of going to Costco on a Saturday did not really entice me. As much as I need to go to Costco, and I would love to, no, this is not a day that I want to be in the Costco parking lot. So let me know if that resonates with you or if you felt the same way about going somewhere. You know, I don't live my life in fear. You know, it's not about that. It's just I want to avoid any drama, any conflict. And eclipse energy is, yeah, it's chaotic and all over the place and you never know what to expect. So let's see, release the blocks. Okay, so in the next little bit, you're going to notice that we are going to release the blocks, whether they are from external sources or internal. You know, I ask you, are you getting in the way of your progress or changes in your life? Very deep question, I know. But here's what I think we should do. Let's get into the energies of the actual week. So I am going to move these cards out of the way, and we can always go back to them later if we need to. But I'm going to go back to my trusty Moonology deck. That was the other Moonology deck, but this is the OG right here. And it never steers me wrong. I love this deck so much because it just explains exactly, I find, what we're going through. So let's take a look at what's happening on Monday. Okay, communication is key. Be very careful with any miscommunications. I have a feeling that a lot of things are bubbling to the surface, you know, things that were swept under the rug. And sometimes when we have these moments where we sweep too much, all of a sudden there's like an explosion or a verbal diarrhea, please excuse the visual, of just, you know, tension, aggravation, miscommunications, and fighting. And we don't want that. We want to have effective communication. We want to listen to what other people have to say, not talk over them, you know, or force anything. Communication is speaking, yes, but it's also listening, right? So let's see what's happening on Tuesday. Be bold and make the first move. Now, whenever I see this card, I have to remind people that doesn't mean chasing a relationship. That doesn't mean that this is a symbol that says, you know, go and reach out to whoever, you know, to chase them. That's not what this means. This means make moves for your own personal growth, evolution, spirituality, whatever. Now, that doesn't mean you can't ever reach out to people. I think there's a very fine line there in regards to how we reach out. Maybe I should clarify that as we go here. You know, you have to ask yourself, what is the intention behind you reaching out? Is the intention to have validation, or, you know, spark something back up again after a little bit of a lull? Or is it that you really don't care what the response is? Because you can't fool the universe. Always remember that when you reach out to somebody who may be breadcrumbing you or ignoring you or who has ghosted you, that just sets them down to the bottom of the cake. It may reset the connection a little bit, but understand that that will give you more of a short-term gain, long-term pain versus the short-term pain, long-term gain. And I always ask people, which do you prefer? Okay. So when I say be bold and make the first move, I just mean be a self-starter. Cardinal signs, you know, those are the Aries, the Libra, the Cancer, the Capricorn. I mean, and those placements. Doesn't mean other people can't be self-starters, but cardinal energy means that you're a self-starter. You're making moves. So make the move. If you've been thinking about doing something, do it. Do you want to study something? Do you want to start a business? Do you want to make a change somehow? You know, let me know in the comments. Is there something that you're thinking of doing, but you're just not sure? Or is there something you have decided on that says, you know what, I am going to make a big move? So let's see what's going on Wednesday. Take time to breathe out. Here's the thing, we forget to breathe, even though that's something we do, right? Without even realizing it, of course. You know, it's this idea that sometimes you have to rest. It's okay to rest. Have you noticed how overscheduled we are in our lives? And this really isn't good for us. Now, I understand that we always like to plan. We like to know what's going on. We want to get our tasks done. But then what time does that leave us for us? You've got to breathe. You've got to relax. Sometimes I just like downtime. Sometimes I don't mind being lazy on my sofa, taking a nap. And I know many people will say, well, I can't do that. I have this, and this. Well, I mean, we all have decisions and we all have choices. So, you know, sometimes there has to be a rest. And if we don't take that rest, that's how we get tower moments. And that's the last thing we want. We don't want tower moments, because essentially what a tower moment is something that rocks our world or shakes us up because we're not listening. And you have to listen to your body also. If your body is feeling tired or the desire to sleep or to rest, you got to listen, right? How can you take care of others if you can't feel good within yourself? Okay, so Thursday, the end of a tough cycle approaches. Interesting. It's coming. You can feel it, you know? Now, let's see what's going on with Friday. Bring love into the situation. Well. Okay. Saturday, a personal issue reaches a resolution. Sunday, we have balanced spirituality and practicality. You know what I'm noticing just in general right now is that, of course, the energy is very up and down. You know, we want to communicate, we want to talk, but we got to be careful that we're not miscommunicating. We got to make some bold moves, but we got to be careful. What type of bold move? Do you notice what I'm saying? You know, take time to breathe out, take a rest, but don't stop, right? Because the end of a tough cycle is approaching. You know, we always want to give up before the finish line. So I'm definitely feeling a lot of that chaotic energy of the eclipse that doesn't really know which way is which. Here's the thing though, you can't try to control the outcome. What can you do? This is why I'm saying you have to just feel it, whatever it is in the moment, like be in the present moment is I think what the message is. If you're being told, you know, take the time and breathe it out or just have a moment of rest, do it. If you feel like you got to make a move, do it. Okay? If you got to open your heart, do it. You know, I've been very introspective actually all week about things that I've experienced in the past, thinking about my present, and of course about my future. And I think a lot of the times we get so caught up in the daily life that we forget, what are those fears that we have? You know, oftentimes we're so busy, we don't get time to think about these things. And do we really want to think about fears? No, I didn't necessarily want to think about a fear, this week. However, I did. And I'm glad that I did because it actually gave me perspective of how to address it and move forward. But that's also, I have the ability to look at the bigger picture. And so if you're finding yourself ignoring your feelings, whether that's a fear, whether that's a sadness, whether that's even an excitement, whatever it may be for you, don't get so caught up in everything that you don't address how you feel. I think oftentimes we're always thinking about everybody else and their feelings that we forget about our own. So, side note, let's take a sneak peek at the following week. And we have the energies gaining momentum. Well, yeah, for sure. No doubt. Okay. No surprise. It's up and down, up and down, up and down. So let's take a look at the tarot and kind of feel this out a little bit here. Let's go back to Monday, and communication is key. And the Chariot. The Chariot is about moving forward, and it's also such strong energy because the Emperor essentially drives the Chariot. And this is a card of victory. I would just say be very careful in how you communicate. Make sure you're listening as well. Be bold and make the first move. Ace of Pentacles. This first move could be initiating a new job. It could be a relationship. Okay, it could be moving. Whatever that may be, embrace it. It's like an investment in something new. It's a tangible new beginning, okay? So if you want new, you got to do different, right? So take the time to breathe out. What do we need to know here? See, Two of Pentacles. I knew this. Two of Pentacles is trying to find some balance. It's making the decision to find balance in your daily life, the tangible. We just talked about, the Ace of Pentacles being that investment, right? That new beginning. But here, it's almost like putting 20% into 5 different things is not 100%. And it means you're really busy and you're overwhelmed and you're feeling the weight of the world on you. I mean, we all know the energy in the world is just so intense right now. My heart goes out to everyone who's affected by war and just such tough times. But I would just say to you that you have to simplify your life somehow. If you're feeling overwhelmed, you've got to go down that priority list. And I talk to so many people who want to simplify it, but they just don't know how. And if you're in that boat, let me know. If you're trying to figure out how do you get down that list, how do you say no to people, how do you make boundaries, it can be done. It just doesn't happen overnight. And I think sometimes we use an umbrella, and I always call this sort of like, the umbrella-ing of our emotions or situations. We'll list off to people how many things we have going on. Well, I've got this, I've got that, I've got this, I've got that. Oh, my goodness, can't you see that I'm trying? And that's great. You're trying. You should be trying. At the same time, though, it's a great excuse to not make any moves or to really do anything. Because as long as we're trying, how can anybody fault us? As long as we're looking busy, nobody can come at us. And I think that's a very difficult situation to be in because yes, it can mean that we're trying to accomplish our goals. At the same time, we can also be blocking them as well. Okay, so let's take a look. The end of a tough cycle approaches. The Page of Cups. This is interesting because this is the early stages of something. It also is a card that says believe in miracles. Anything is possible. Your new life is going to cost your old life. Say it all the time, right? Okay, bring love into the situation on Friday. The Hierophant. Well, there you go. Commitment. Taurus energy, spiritual ascension. There's the keys right there. What I love about this card is looking at the background and looking at the mountains. Mountains can be seen 2 ways, as obstacles or achievements. When we take the methodical steps, we're getting towards our goal. We're getting towards the achievement. The only thing is that when we get to the top of the mountain, or the cake, if we're referring to the cake analogy, is that oftentimes people will say, well, what's next? Do you ever notice that in life? It's always what's next. Well, I do this and I don't even really enjoy the moment when I achieve it. It's already what's next, It's something that we have to recognize. We've got to be in the present moment and celebrate our achievements. But essentially, this could be about a commitment or an ascension here. So a personal issue reaches a resolution on Saturday. I just actually want to say one more thing. Page of Cups is obviously emotions, right? Early stages. This could be early stages of some sort of romantic connection. And there could be some sort of outpouring of emotions or a commitment of some kind on Friday. So a personal issue reaches a resolution. Yeah, death and rebirth. You're going to put something to rest. Okay? So very interesting that that would have come up. On Sunday, balance spirituality and practicality, we have Five of Cups. You know, here's the thing. Balancing spirituality and practicality is a card that says we marry potential, we divorce reality. Pisces energy is known to be very dreamy. They don't always see things as clearly as they should. And that's tough because obviously we love living in our dreams. We love living in the illusions sometimes. However, that's not the reality. So the Five of Cups, in my opinion, is that some of you may be grieving something you thought was different than what it is. And that's hard. It's an acceptance. Now, understand that if you are grieving a situation and you see these 3 spilled cups in the card in front of this owl, recognize that there are 2 cups still behind that aren't seen or acknowledged. And it means that there's another connection or another match to you, whatever that is, doesn't even have to be romantically, that is better for you. And I think that there is some recognition here that something is just not what it seems. And that's okay. Now, the energy is gaining momentum for the next week. Let's see what we need to know. Justice. There's that Libra energy. Justice, equal giving and receiving, and balance. You know, here's the thing. We're going to be approaching Scorpio season. And Scorpio season is intense. And it is a bit aggressive. It's brooding is kind of the word that I would use. So you might find that, yes, we're going to strive for some balance, and that energy is gaining momentum to bring us that balance, but it's also going to take us in a different direction with Scorpio season, because just recently Mars moved into Scorpio. It's interesting because I have that placed in my chart personally. You know, Mars is actually comfortable in Scorpio, right? So this will be a time when you actually might feel a little bit of relief because Mars was not comfortable in Libra. Libra is about balance, right? We want to avoid confrontation. We want to tiptoe a little bit of indecisiveness. And you know, I love Libras, but I'll just make the point that Scorpio energy is very different. Okay, so Mars being in Scorpio, I think, will make a difference for a lot of people. Now, let's take a look with the Oracle cards to see what else we need to know here. Okay, so the Chariot on Monday, moving forward, victory, communication. Yeah, don't worry so much. I get it. Listen, stress, anxiety, worry, restlessness, that is the eclipse energy. Take it in stride. Like I said, if you need rest, take it. Now, on Tuesday, Ace of Pentacles. We have the King of Earth with the Devil card. And here's the thing. The Devil card is about restrictions. It's addictions. It's codependency, feeling chained. Don't stop yourself or block yourself from having the new beginning. Oftentimes, it's just ourselves who get in the way, okay? Now, one other thing that I wanted to mention, I just kind of thought about this as I was speaking. Nagging was a word on the card here, and we talked about how communication is key. Be very careful in regards to nagging anybody for something. You don't have to ask somebody 10 times. And if you do have to ask somebody 10 times, there's an issue, okay? So make sure that your communication style is not nagging or pushing at someone. And I'll give you an example. I find that with myself personally, when someone nags me for something over and over and over and over again, I tend to do the opposite. It pushes me so far in the other direction. You know, when I was a teacher in the classroom, I loved bringing in treats, you know, for Halloween or for the holidays or for Easter, whatever. And I'll never forget, there was one day that a student walked into the room and they said to me, like, without even a hello, really, it was what are you going to give me? What are you going to give us? Like, it was like an entitlement. It was an expectation. It was a bit of a nagging at me. And I remember being like, ugh, nothing, you know, that doesn't make me want to give. And of course, I loved my students immensely. And of course, I gave. But at the same time, I always find that when somebody really nags me for something over and over, I go completely the other direction. And so just remember that if you're finding yourself asking somebody over and over and over and over again, you're trying to control the outcome, and if that person isn't really following through, then you have to recognize that there's something just not right there. Okay. So I don't know why that came up. Just a side note if you're experiencing that. Now, let's take a look here at Wednesday. And we talked about simplifying our life. And actually, on that topic, geez, so many things popping into my mind right now. With regards to the devil card and the restrictions and feeling held back, boundaries is the issue. A lot of the times when we do have this problem with the Two of Pentacles, where again 20% into 5 different things is happening, we don't know how to say no to people. People come to you for favors. Can you do this for me? Can you do that for me? Everybody's sort of in this mode of like, I got to do this, I got to do that, I have this obligation. And I ask the question, who says? There are times when you can't. There are times when you have to say no. And if somebody's upset with you for making a boundary, you needed one in the first place. And I think it's so important that when you do need that time to breathe out, or let's say you do get a day off, use that day for you. That's what it's meant for. It's not meant to run errands for everybody else or to do favors for everybody else. I think one of the things that's important to recognize about boundaries is that somebody's not going to wake up one morning and suddenly stop pushing your boundaries, or they're going to stop asking you for favors. It doesn't work that way. If you allow them to infringe on your personal time, they're going to. Plain and simple. If you're allowing it, they're going to do it. And the people who really know you and really care about you will respect you when you say no. My mother used to always say as a child, no means no. No is a complete sentence, period, end of sentence. That's how she would always sort of like phrase it. And I get it, and now that I'm older, I get where she's coming from. So that Two of Pentacles, yeah, we're going to say no. We're going to say no more. We're going to end that cycle of overgiving. And here's what's interesting about this card. It's Saturn, which is about duty and responsibility and feeling like we owe everybody everything. You don't owe everybody everything. I'm reminded of a story. Wow, I'm really in story mode today. I remember a situation where I had a student tell me that if they needed help with their essay, it was my responsibility to answer them, even if it was at midnight or 1 o'clock in the morning. And I remember my response being, well, I can't always do that. I would love to be able to do that. But as a teacher, I do have a life outside of school too. I mean, I'm not a teacher, 24 hours of the day. I mean, granted, I love teaching, and if I can help somebody, I absolutely will. But sometimes there are going to be moments where people have to figure some things out, or they're going to have to wait. I think we live in a society that is so instant gratification. I mean, we can get into Love is Blind. We can talk about The Bachelor, Bachelorette, whatever show you wanna dissect. But it's amazing how much we are so into instant gratification. And we don't always have to be responsible for everybody else. Our duty is to be responsible for ourselves. But again, on a societal level, it isn't always seen this way, And I think all of us encounter this in our daily lives, whatever profession we have, whatever family members we have, friends we have, relationships. We often feel like we have to overgive, and this is my issue. We don't have to. We can be selective in who we give our energy to. And sometimes we have to protect ourselves. It's like the oxygen mask, you can't help anybody else unless you put the oxygen mask on yourself. So let's take a look here at Thursday with that Page of Cups. And yeah, something's developing. We're in the early stages of something, and I wouldn't be surprised if that is romantic. So the Hierophant here is about spiritual ascension, commitment, but also finding balance. And look at this Mother Earth card, inner identity. I bring my best, you bring your best. And I love that. Center of everything. That's what we want in a commitment, right? That's why we don't want the nagging that I was talking about earlier. Okay, death and rebirth, total transformation, and the light bulb. Okay, you know what? We're going to have a breakthrough, an aha moment or an epiphany. And that's the rebirth, right? The spark after leaving something behind. And that Five of Cups we talked about with the grieving, an old situation or something that maybe wasn't what we thought it was. Yeah, it's complicated. I get it. I get it. But here's the question. Is it complicated because it's truly complicated, or complicated because we're making it complicated? Always a difficult conversation on that. And the sneak peek at the following week, death and rebirth. The Scorpio. Didn't I say that earlier? We're going into Scorpio season. We sure are. Wow. Love that. Okay. So that being said, I'm looking for my Power of Surrender cards, and they are right here. So let's see what we need to surrender or surrender to. Okay. Surrender to the wisdom of your body. Listen to your body's messages about a person or situation. If you feel physically drained or uncomfortable, be cautious. If you're energized and happy, move forward. Now, I want to remind you what I said earlier. I said, if you need to take a time out and breathe, do it. Surrender to the wisdom of your body. If you feel like you need to rest, do it. Okay? So let's see what else we need to know here. What do we need to surrender or surrender to? Surrender to success. You are ready to experience abundance. Don't look back at previous roadblocks or difficulties. Leap into an exciting new world of possibilities. Exactly. And to me, that's the sort of aha moment here, okay? This breakthrough. And it could even be in a relationship, whatever. You know, it's a matter of walking through that portal to say, I'm ready. What am I so afraid of? Coming back to fears, you know? Okay, so let's see what else we need to know. Surrender to rest and sleep. I just knew I had to take a third card, and it really reinforces what I just said. To prevent burnout, slow down. Honor your need for quiet time and peaceful sleep to rejuvenate your mind, body, and spirit. Wow. I really hope this resonates with you. Thank you so much for taking the time to listen to my reading. Your kindness and support really, truly means the world to me. If you'd like to book a personal reading with me, the link is in my bio. I wish you all an amazing post-eclipse week. Thank you again, and take care.